Understand the technology ecosystem of generative AI. Learning objectives. After completing this unit, you'll be able to identify key components contributing to rapid generative AI development, describe types of technology that comprise the generative AI tech stack, describe common concerns businesses have about generative AI, supercharging generative AI training. Generative AI has gained a lot of capabilities in what seems like a very short amount of time. The incredibly fast pace of improvement is largely due to three big factors. The first is the availability of huge amounts of training data. As mentioned in the previous unit, the billions of web pages on the internet are a great source of writing samples. But data is only good if you have a way to use it. That's where the second big change comes in: better training. As you learn in artificial intelligence fundamentals, researchers design neural networks that use sophisticated math to train AI models. The architecture of neural networks is a field of study that's constantly progressing. In 2017, researchers at Google published a game-changing paper about training large language models. They proposed a new AI architecture called a transformer. As you can imagine, the details of the research are pretty complicated, but to simplify greatly, the new architecture was capable of identifying important relationships between words, no matter how far away they appear within a block of text. It could retain that connection even after processing lots of words. The new transformer architecture brings us to the third major factor in the rapid advancement of generative AI: computational power. It takes a lot of processing power to do the math behind AI model training. Historically, AI models are designed in a way that requires a sequence of calculations, run one after the other. The transformer architecture is different. It relies on many separate concurrent calculations. So, one computer processor can do the first calculation while a different processor does the second at the same time. That's called parallel computing, and it greatly reduces the time it takes to train a transformer. On top of that, in recent years, processors that can perform parallel computing have become much more powerful and abundant. These three factors of data, architecture, and computing have converged for just the right conditions to train very capable large language models. One of the biggest LLMs is the GPT language model. In other words, a model that's already been trained that can be used to generate text-related content. Emerging ecosystem. Right now, there are already hundreds of sites on the internet where you can go to get hands-on with generative AI. When you visit one of those sites, you're at the tip of a technology iceberg, and that technology can come from a lot of different sources. Investigate the tech stack that makes it possible to bring awesome generative AI experiences to the masses. This thriving ecosystem of technology companies has grown at an incredible rate just over the past few years. Some companies will specialize in one particular segment. For example, one in the foundational model space may want to focus on training new and better performing models to differentiate themselves. Other companies will create solutions that span multiple layers of the tech stack, creating their own proprietary LLM to use for their application. Many businesses are just starting to get a handle on what AI can do for them. Given the unprecedented demand for AI technology, there's a huge amount of opportunity for businesses to make their mark at several levels of the AI tech stack. Common concerns about generative AI. Generative AI is going to lead to many changes in how we interact with computers. With any disruptive technology, it's important to understand its limitations and causes for concern. Here are a few of the main concerns with generative AI. Hallucinations. Remember that generative AI is really another form of prediction, and sometimes predictions are wrong. Predictions from generative AI that diverge from an expected response, grounded in facts, are known as hallucinations. They happen for a few reasons, like if the training data was incomplete or biased, or if the model was not designed well. So with any AI-generated text, take the time to verify the content is factually correct. Data security. Businesses can share proprietary data at 2 points in the generative AI lifecycle. First, when fine-tuning a foundational model. Second, when actually using the model to process a request with sensitive data. Companies that offer AI services must demonstrate that trust is paramount and that data will always be protected. Plagiarism.
LLMs and AI models for image generation are typically trained on publicly available data. There's the possibility that the model will learn a style and replicate that style. Businesses developing foundational models must take steps to add variation into the generated content. Also, they may need to curate the training data to remove samples at the request of content creators. User spoofing. It's easier than ever to create a believable online profile complete with an AI-generated picture. Fake users like this can interact with real users and other fake users in a very realistic way. That makes it hard for businesses to identify bot networks that promote their own bot content. Sustainability. The computing power required to train and run AI models is immense and can translate to carbon emissions, water depletion, and other environmental impacts. As models get bigger, so do their carbon footprints. That's why we're working to ensure AI is sustainable by developing efficient AI models, leading with transparency, and decarbonizing the power sector through renewable energy and modernized grid infrastructure. In summary, generative AI is capable of assisting businesses and individuals alike with all sorts of language-based tasks. The convergence of lots of data, clever AI architecture, and huge amounts of computing power has supercharged generative AI development and the growth of the AI ecosystem.